Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video I'm bringing to you my answers for the questions inside the Midyear book Freakout tag. I've been doing this tag ever since 2020 and I've linked all the 4 previous years videos down in the description. So if you want to go back and see my channel's journey, you can definitely go forward and do that. I've also linked the original videos down in the description. If they are available, please do check them out too. There are totally 13 questions in this tag and I have all of them here. I'm not able to use my mobile, that's why I'm having a huge screen here. Also, don't forget to leave your answers in the comments below for all the questions. You can find all of them in the description. So without any further ado, let's get into the questions right away. Before getting to the first question, I just want to tell one thing. Some of the books inside this video can be repeated as answers because I have some really favorite books or best books that I've read so far this year. So just having that in mind, the first question is best book you've read so far in 2024. And it is more than easily A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Okay, it's also literally the most sad book that I've read so far in my life. But the extent to which this book has the power to change one's life is just incredible, okay? If you do watch BookTube content continuously, I'm pretty sure you know how strong this book is and how sad people feel after reading this book. I also felt the exact amount of heavy sadness after reading this book. It's quite a chunky one, okay? It's nearly 700 to 800 pages long and there are so many things that are happening horribly wrong inside this one. And the sad truth is that each and everything that the author talks about as happenings for the main character here is actually happening to real people out there in the real world. And many people also label this book as trauma porn, which I think is totally wrong because it depicts the life story of certain people who are actually living through hard things in their life. The word even hard things is not enough to describe the amount of struggles that the main character goes through here. And after reading this book, you cannot help but empathize with the character with every decision that he makes inside the book. I cannot say that this is a favorite book of mine because it just sounds wrong to me, but it is easily one of the best written books that I've read so far. And obviously the best book that I've read so far this year. Question number 2, best sequel you've read so far in 2024. And for this one I have 2 answers, okay? It's kind of a tie. I'll show you both the books and I'll tell you the reason. Okay, the first of these 2 books is kind of the lesser of the 2 books for me, which I've chosen, and it is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. Okay, this is the second book inside the Throne of Glass series, and by far this has been the most engaging sequel that I've read. There have been moments during this book in which I just screamed or just yelled obscenities because it was that good for me. Okay, I was that much emotionally hooked and engaged with the story. So I understand why it is so popular when it comes to this book, and it is easily one of the best sequels that I've read so far this year. And the other one is basically the best sequel that I've read so far. So I would have just chosen this one, but I wanted to include Crown of Midnight. And this book is The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden, which is the last book inside the Winter Night trilogy. Trust me, this is one of the best finales that I've read so far in my life. And one thing which I don't understand is why the series is not as popular as some of the other BookTube darlings out there, because everything about the series is just perfect, okay? It's just slow pace, except that one I cannot say anything as a negative thing about the series at all. Even that slow pace is not a negative thing, okay? Because you need to go slow with the story in order to experience it completely. There are certain scenes from this book which I completely remember vividly in my brain. I read this in January and read it during the cold season, okay? Don't read it during any other season, because if you want to get into this world, if you want to feel it, you have to read it during the cold. There's a particular sequence inside this book which exactly looks like the Long Night episode from Game of Thrones season 8. It gave me the exact kind of creepy, frightening vibes, but it was much better compared to that series. So yeah, The Winter of the Witch is easily the best sequel that I read so far. And for the reason of favorites, I'm including Crown of Midnight also. Question number 3. New release you haven't read yet but want to. Okay, for this one I have 2 books, of which the first one is obviously from my most favorite author, which is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I don't know why I have not bought this yet. I think it's because of the immense amount of books on my physical TBR already. It's also very easily available for me, okay? If I order it now, I'll be getting it tomorrow morning. It's that easy for me to buy it. Still, I haven't bought it for some reason, okay? But I'm pretty sure that I will be reading this book this year itself. In the second half of the year, the plan is to finish reading this book. There's no other reason, okay? I just love the author, so I want to read this book. The other one is the sequel to a book which I read last year in January, and the book is Empire of the Damned by J. Christoph, which is the second book inside the Empire of the Vampire series. I read the first book last year, as I said before, and it was just amazing, okay? It was something very different from any of the other vampire stories that I've read, and it was also brutally dark, okay? Everything that J. Christoph writes is like brutally dark, but this one was on another level. Personally, for me, this was darker than the Nevernight trilogy. I love the Nevernight trilogy. okay? I don't love this more than that one yet, but I like the darkness and the way in which he plays with it inside the series. I definitely want to read the sequel. I think it was published on the leap day this year on Feb 29th. I'm not sure though. The reason why I have not bought this so far is because it's like insanely expensive, but I'll probably buy it by the end of the year, and I might also end up finishing it. Question number 4. The most anticipated release for the second half of the year. The answer for this one is like super easy, okay? And it is Air by Sabaa Tahir. And this is kind of the 5th book inside the Ember Quartet world, okay? I don't think it's part of the Ember Quartet. It's not like a sequel, prequel, spin-off or anything. I think it's just another story situated inside the same world as the Ember Quartet, okay? I read the Ember Quartet in 2021, I think. Yeah, I read it in 2021 and I had such a blast, okay? The way in which Sabaa Tahir develops her characters in that one is just exquisite, okay? I did not like the main character in the first book, but she grew on me as the series did when it came to the second, third and fourth books. When it came to the fourth book and all, I was rooting for each and every one of the main characters there because she had made them go through such a hell, okay? My most favorite character from the Ember Quartet is Helene. After her, I like Elias, and after that, I like Leia. I think I want to go back and reread the series before reading the Air. I don't know whether both of these stories are connected or not, but I love Sabaa Tahir's writing. I haven't read her other standalone, which is like a contemporary story. I think it's All My Rage. I have not read that book so far. But I'm like 100% sure I'm going to read the Air as soon as it gets released and it is published in India. Just the cover of that book itself is like super gorgeous. I can see it has the same vibes as the Ember Quartet. Getting such beautiful Desi Asian stories is very difficult and I'm so much waiting for this one. Question number 5. Biggest disappointment. Okay, for this one I have 2 books. Both of those books are like incredibly popular. I don't understand why, okay? First, I'll come with the less popular one because it's Indian, okay? It's popular in India, it's not popular elsewhere inside the world. And it is also my book club pick from February, okay? It is the worst book club pick that I've taken so far. It's worse than Samsara, which I read last year. And the book is The Perfect Us by Durjoy Datta. After reading this book, I've decided to not read anything else by this author ever again. If he comes up with the third book inside the Boy Who Loved trilogy alone, I will read that book. Otherwise, I don't care, I don't give a F. I don't want to read any more from this author. Because the people who say a little life is trauma porn, go read this author's books. It's like literally trauma porn and I don't know. People just end up guzzling it over. One thing I want to tell you guys who love this author's books, I can understand the appeal, okay? I like the amount of good feels it gives us when we read like certain parts of the story. But as a whole, it's not worth it. It just ends up depressing me. He just likes writing sad stories and devastating people, it seems. So yeah, I don't want to read this author's books anymore. And the other book is probably the bigger cut, okay? And it is A Coat of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I liked all the other 4 books inside the series. To be more specific, I loved the first 3 books. I was okay with the novella or short story collection. It's a novella, not even a short story collection. It was a novella. But I completely hated this one, okay? It is way too overrated. I'm okay with Nesta as a character. I'm okay with Cassian as a character. But for me, these 2 people are not main character material. It was just the 2 of them boning the whole book around and it was just plain outright boring for me, okay? The same thing kept on happening over and over and over again. And if the rest of the series is just going to follow Nesta further on, I'm not going to read the series anymore. If we come back to Farah and see her story unraveling, I'm all in for it. But I'm not interested in Nesta's story and this is basically the most disappointing book that I've read so far in 2024. Actually, both of these books were so badly vibing with me that I just unhauled both of them. I just don't want that to be on my shelf. Question number 6. Biggest surprise. Okay, for this one I have a duology actually, and I wasn't expecting this series to be this good, and it's I think a crime for the series to be not as popular as the other fantasy series out there, and it is the Ray Barrett duology by Jordan F. Beko. I actually have a dedicated series review for this duology in my channel. I'll link it down in the description. If I have separate videos for any of the books that I'm talking about, all of them will be down in the description. Please do go forward and check them out. Now the thing about this series is that it handles each and everything that the author takes into her hands extremely well, okay? The world is really well built and it is very fresh more than anything. The different variety of cuisines that we see here, the kind of clothes that the people wear, the magic that we see, the abilities that the people have, the culture that the author builds around for this world itself, it's just amazing, okay? More than anything, just see the covers of both of these books. It is just amazing. I've talked about it in detail in the review video. It will be linked in the description. Please do go forward and check it out. And if you're planning to just read one small series in the rest of the year, please let it be this one because it does not get enough recognition and praise as it deserves. So yeah, just go forward and give it the love. Question number 7. Favorite new author, debut or new to you, okay? This author is actually not new to me, but this is the year in which I'm totally enjoying her works more. She's like super popular, okay? And it is Sarah J. Maas, no one else. And the reason why I'm choosing her is because While I read the Akata series, I was able to understand why it is so popular. Okay, it's not just because of the smut inside the series, because it doesn't have that much, to be very honest. Compared to some books that men have written, this series does not have that much smut. Okay, and I don't understand the amount of hate that she gets, because she writes just as good stories as anyone else out there. And I think the main reason why people end up hating on her just because of the fact that she's a woman, because she is not doing anything that no other male author has done before her. Okay, male authors have always objectified women in their books, especially when it comes to fantasy as a genre. Even in Sarah J. Maas's books, it doesn't look like she's objectifying men at all. Okay, she just is posing certain expectations that certain women might have physically when it comes to men. And I can see that people who are very insecure of their lives and of their bodies end up just hating on her for that reason alone. I just don't understand the amount of hate that she gets just because she writes some smutty scenes here and there inside her books. She writes it a bit more detailed and elaborate compared to other authors, but I don't think she has done anything more than some of the male authors before the generations. So yeah, she deserves all the praise that she has, but she does not deserve all the hate that she gets also. I'm totally enjoying her books. They are very entertaining. The way in which she includes mental health as a huge aspect when it comes to addressing them through her main characters in her stories is really nice. And she also has a really simple writing style. Okay, just because her writing style is simple doesn't mean that the books that she writes are easy stories. Okay, they are kind of convoluted, complex stories, but she has that talent and she has that skill to make such complex, interesting stories also entertaining at the same time. I'm able to see a lot of facets when it comes to Sarah J. Maas as an author, and despite getting the hate, she just keeps on rolling out great books over and over again, and all of them are becoming like huge sellers across the world. Personally, I feel so happy for her, and because of that reason and because of the fact that I'm thoroughly enjoying her books itself, she has easily become a new favorite author for me. Question number 8. Newest fictional crush. Okay, it's been a very long time since I've crushed on any character, and this year I'm so happy and so glad because I did get some crushes on certain characters because of various reasons. Okay, and the first of these, if you ask me, is easily Feyre from the Akata series. Okay, she just grows as a character beautifully. Okay, I just love the way she is portrayed by Sarah J. Maas. The next one is Jude from A Little Life. He is the main character inside the story, and initially I thought not to say him as an answer because it might sound like I like him just out of pity, but when I sat down and thought, it's definitely not that. Okay, I like Jude as a main character inside that book, not for all the things that he've been through, but just because of the person that he is. Okay, if I go on and talk about that book for just a couple more minutes, I'm very sure that I will start crying because it is such an emotionally packed book. I want to reread it for sure, but I'll not be doing it anytime soon. I at least want like a year's gap in order to go forward and reread that book. But Jude as a character felt very close to my heart for some reason, and trust me, if you read that book, it will devastate you, it will destroy you, but there will be no other way but to love Jude for you because he is such an amazing person. So yeah, Feyre from the Akata series and Jude from A Little Life are easily my new favorite fictional crushes. Question number 9. Newest favorite character. Okay, for this one I actually have 3 characters whom I think I like equally. Okay, and I like each and every one of these characters for entirely different reasons. Of these, the first one, if I'm going by chronological order, is Vasya from the Winter Night trilogy, who's the main character of the series. She is such main character material. Okay, from the first book itself, you can just see that she is a force of life. You will fall in love with her. You will want to follow her story and want to know what's going to happen for her, what she's going to do, and all that other stuff. So Vasya is easily one of my favorite characters so far this year. Then we have another book from the same month, which is January, and it is Ravana from Asura by Anand Neelakantan. My thoughts on Ravana as a character have been completely changed after reading this book because it is very objective when it comes to the tone of the story, and you can just see, right, the number of tabs I have here is something else. Okay, because I just loved this book so much, and I like the way in which the author just went forward and explored Ravana's character for us here. It is something else. Okay, I have a review for this one also. I have a review for the Winter Night trilogy. All of them will be linked in the description. So if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on any of these books, please do go forward and check out those videos because I poured my heart and soul talking about these books inside the series because they are amazing books, and I personally think many more people need to read them. And the last favorite character so far is obviously Jude from A Little Life. I've talked about him so much already, and I will be talking about him again. So yeah, these are my 3 most favorite characters so far from 2024. Question number 10 is book that made you cry. I've talked about it so many times already, and it is definitely A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Trust me, no matter how strong a person you are, how much you are in control of your emotions. After reading this book, you'll not be able to help yourself from shedding a tear or two because it is something else, okay? It is not a normal story. It doesn't happen to every person, but it is happening to some people out there in the world. And his story here is just like a small example representing that huge population who might be going through such stuff in the world. It is a difficult book to read. It is a heavy book to read. It's not one for everyone to read. But if you want to read this book, you need to make yourself ready. I've talked about all of that stuff in that video. I'm not going to reiterate them here because it will make me emotional. I'm not trying to make you guys watch those videos, okay? If you want, you can. But this is one book which you need to go in with a lot of preparation mentally. Rather than just reading the sheer number of pages here, the things that happen inside the book are brutal, okay? They will keep on stabbing your heart. They will keep on stabbing your soul because it is that difficult. There are so many bad things happening here. It has literally every trigger warning that you can think of, but it's also like, it's like a masterpiece of a book. So sorry, my throat is blocking. I'm just going to stop it. Yeah, this is the book which made me cry. Question number 11 is a good note, and it is a book that made you happy. And for this one, I'm going with a new favorite author again. I did not choose her as the new favorite author because I read a few books from her last year itself and fell in love with her writing. And the author is Preeti Shenoy. The book is The Rule Breakers by Preeti Shenoy. Okay, I've understood one thing, that everything that Preeti Shenoy writes is exactly my vibe. It's exactly my aesthetic. And every book that she writes just goes straight into my heart. I don't use my brain when I'm reading her books. I just use my heart. I'm living from my heart while I'm reading her books. And that's kind of a very special, unique experience. And if we don't connect with the stories that much, I don't think the stories will totally go into our heart without any analysis done. Her books are like that to me, and this one just felt so close to heart because it was relatable at multiple instances. It had a really great ending. It had super choices that are being taken by the characters here. It has really good representation of different kinds of people going through different kinds of things in life. It's just amazing, okay? If you haven't read any of Preeti Shenoy's books, I'd suggest you to start with this one because she just handles stuff really beautifully, okay? I cannot describe the kind of things that she does in her books using any other better word. They are just beautiful. I don't think they are perfect, but they are perfect for the situation that she deals with in her books here, and she just handles them wonderfully well. So yeah, this book definitely made me feel super happy. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. For this also I'm going with two books. One is a book which looks physically beautiful. Another book is something which I got unexpectedly as that specific edition, okay? And the first of these books is the one which is most beautiful, okay? And it is A Study in Drowning by Eva Reed. I'm not sure whether my phone's camera is doing justice for this cover or not, but it is just gorgeous. The gold foiling on the cover, all that is beautiful. The end pages are also really, really gorgeous. Water is like a huge element that makes the story and moves it here, and it is beautifully made use of in the back covers. Sorry, in papers, not back covers. I also like the green and gold combination that is used throughout the cover. It is just beautiful. I bought this one for myself. The next one is a book that I got for a collaboration with Bookchore. I saw a different edition of the book on their site and asked them for it, and they sent me another edition which I thought was not available anymore. And it is also an edition of a very favorite book of mine, and it is 100 Little Flames by Preeti Shenoy again, okay? I think this is the book which just cemented my love for Preeti Shenoy's writing because it just went straight to my heart, okay? Read this book, you cannot find any faults. It's just beautiful. Especially if you're Indian, this book is straight away going to your heart, trust me, okay? There's nothing special about the beauty of this cover or anything, but I thought that this original edition of the book wasn't available anymore because this is the first edition, if I'm not wrong. Any of her covers don't look like this anymore. They have like this very common style which is being followed. I thought that I'll get that cover only, but I ended up getting this one. So I can't wait to reread the book. I can't wait to annotate it and just, make it my own. So yeah, for my own personal preference and reason, this is definitely one of the most beautiful books that I've received so far this year. The final question, which is question number 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I have a lot of standalone books which I want to read by the end of the year, but I'm just going to talk about certain series alone which I definitely need to read before the end of this year because I have started them, or there are like very few books inside the series, or I have been having them on my shelf for quite a while now, okay? Of these, the first one is an ongoing series that I'm actually reading. It's not an ongoing series, but a series that I'm reading. So I just want to finish it, okay? It just makes sense. Please understand, okay? I'm not able to put it out properly. And it is Throne of Glass by Sarzi Mas. I have finished 3 books of the series so far. There are 5 more left. And all 5 of them are like huge bricks. I'm pretty sure that if I start reading the series, I'll be able to finish the books very soon because they are very engaging, they are very fast paced. So yeah, I want to finish the Throne of Glass series. Then we have 2 series which I have not started so far. Of these, the first one is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I have the first book and the third book in the series. I don't have the second one with me. So I want to finish the series also this year itself. One good news is that R.F. Kuang is not having any new releases in 2024. She is having a new release in 2025 only. So by that time, I'll probably finish reading all her backlist books so far. I have Babel with me. I have the 2 Poppy War books. I just want the second one alone. So I'll be buying that, and my plan is to finish reading all of them by the end of the year. And the other series which I want to finish reading is The Burnt Empire Saga by Ashok K. Banker. I have the other 2 books in the series also with me. So yeah, the last series which I want to finish reading by the end of the year is The Burnt Empire Saga by Ashok K. Banker. So yes guys, those are all my answers for the 13 questions inside the Midyear book Freakout tag, which is basically the most popular and most fun tag to do for anyone. Don't forget to leave your answers in the comments below, because I want to know how your reading year has been so far, and also tell me your plans for the rest of the year when it comes to reading. If you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it with your friends. And if you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.